Hello, everyone. On today's podcast episode, I'm gonna talk about how easy it is to sin in this world. You know, in this world, it's easier to sin than it is to be a good person. In this world, it's easier to go to hell than it is to go to heaven, and that means it's not just for you. You know, it's not just easier for you to go to hell than to go to heaven. It's also easier for everyone else as well. It's easier for you to make a bad choice than it is for you to make a good choice in life. And that means you have to be careful of everyone around you, at least the people you don't trust. The people you trust, there's a reason why you trust them, right? I'm not talking about the people you trust, your friends, your family members. There's a reason you trust the people around you, you know. I'm not going to tell you not to trust your friends and family members. I'm just telling you that if you meet a stranger, you have to be careful because it's easier for them to do something bad than it is for them to do something good. So let me give you, many people say it's a lie, but, let me give you examples. Like I said it before in other episodes. It's easier to pretend to be a police officer than to actually be a police officer. To be a police officer, right? You have to go through training, tests, and this could take years, right? But to pretend to be a police officer, it's very easy. You just need to buy a police officer uniform online. People sell these uniforms online for free, for cheap. So that's how easy it is to do something bad. That's how easy it is to make a bad choice. Making a good choice is what? Becoming a real police officer. Going to, police academy or whatever you want to call it in your country, and then passing the test, passing the fitness test, and then becoming a police officer. But you can just sidestep all that and do what? Just buy a police officer uniform, put it on, and call yourself a police officer. It's that easy. And then you can use that, that power, that prestige of a police officer, of a fake police officer, and do what? Start pulling people over. Start robbing people. You can pull anyone over, as long as you have a cop car. As long as you have sirens in your car. You buy a cheap siren off online. You buy some cheap lights, blinking lights online. Put it at the top of your car, and now you're a police officer. Hey, you become an official police officer. That's how easy it is to sin. That is how easy it is to sin. There's consequences to being a liar. There's a consequence. There's a consequence to being a manipulator, and it is very manipulative to pretend to be a police officer when you're not, right? But there are benefits to pretending to be a police officer. And there are also major downsides, The path to heaven may not look happy, but that's where happiness lies. The path to hell, right, looks like the easiest, happiest place you can be. But yet, there's no happiness in hell. It's so freeing not to go to a police academy, not to pay schools, not to go to all the tests that you have to go through to be a police officer. It's so much easier. It's so freeing. So much, you feel happier when you just buy a suit online, a uniform online, call yourself a police officer, and then start pulling people over and demanding them to pay you money. Tell them, they got a ticket for X or Y. Then you start collecting money from random strangers. Pretending to be a police officer, you can just start collecting money from random strangers. So easy, right? But the downside of going to hell is if people ever find out that you're a fake police officer, it's over for you. The road to hell looks happy from afar. It looks so happy, it looks so easy to get to. But As you start going downhill, that's when you start to realize this is not the place for me. You know, and it's so easy for for you to pretend to be something you're not. It's so easy. It's easier to pretend to be a rich person than it is to be a rich person. But the downside of that is that you can only pretend for so long before people start to realize you're a fraud. When people start to realize you're a fraud, your life will turn upside down. You know, but the benefits of pretending to be a rich person is that you can go to places where you can make rich friends. There's some rich folks who never hang out with people who are poorer than them, and there's some women, and there's some poor folks who only want to hang out with rich folks. There's some men who only hang out with rich women, some women who only hang out with rich men. You know, so if you pretend to be a rich person, hey, you can trick them into a relationship with you. You can trick these people into a friendship or or a committed relationship with you. But the downside of that is, if they ever find out you're a liar, some people behave violently to liars. You can be called a scammer, a fraud, a con artist. You can even go to jail. And in some countries, scams are, you can be punished with death for scamming others. You can be punished with death for scamming and defrauding others. United States, in the United States, I don't think there's a law that there's no death penalty for scamming people, but in other countries there are. If you're a scammer, you're a liar, whatever it is, you're a manipulator, there's a death penalty for you. Depending on what country you live in. So it's easy to just take the easy path. Instead of spending the hard work, creating a business, a side hustle, or whatever, and making money from it, or getting a job that pays you well. Just pretend you're rich instead. Rent cars, rent expensive cars for cheap. Then pretend you have you're living a lavish lifestyle. When the truth is, you're making minimum wage. The car you rented, you can only rent it for one day, and that's the only day you go to visit your rich friends. That way they think you're rich just like them. The rest of the time you walk to the store, you walk everywhere. But once a month or once a week, you rent a car, you rent an expensive car, and go hang out with your rich friends, or your rich girlfriend, or your rich boyfriend. That way they think you're a rich person. And then the rest of the days, you're broke. And even trying to keep up that lifestyle, that fake lifestyle, it's fun the first time, right? The first time you do it, it may be fun, but every time, having to hide away from your friends for the rest of your life, when you're poor, when you have no money, once in a while your friend could just just spot you walking, and wonder why you walking. Aren't you rich? Why are you walking to the store? Shouldn't you, don't you have a butler? Don't you have, where's your Lamborghini? And then you have to make up an excuse why, you prefer walking over driving, even though you're walking miles to the store. It's hard to keep up a fake life. It's very hard, regardless of the consequences of it. It is very hard to keep pretending to be something you're not. It's very hard to pretend you're happy for the rest of your life. You can only pretend you're happy for only a few minutes, and then your body just gets tired of all this pretending. And one of these days, you end up showing people who you truly are. And at that point in time, it's already too late. People have already people now see you for who you are, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's easy when you meet someone to just pretend to be something you're not. And this goes for other people as well. What brings me back to the point of this episode. The people it's easier for them to pretend to be something they're not when you first meet them. You don't know who they truly are. It's easier to pretend to be someone you're not than to actually be yourself. Because most people do not think people like them as they are. They don't think they'll like them as they are. Some people do drugs. Then when you meet them, they'll pretend that, they don't do any drugs at all. And then some people is the opposite. In order to fit in with the friends who do drugs, you pretend you're a drug addict. And then as time goes on, you start to realize, you start hanging out with these friends who do drugs. And you start to realize that, this is hell. I hate drugs. Why am I hanging out with people who do drugs when I hate doing drugs? The same way with a person who's pretending to be, the person who's a drug addict pretending not to be a drug addict. You hang out with people who don't do drugs and you're a drug addict. Sooner or later, you just get tired of pretending. You get tired of when you want to do drugs and there's people around you who don't do drugs. You get sick and tired of holding it in. And one of these days, you either give up your friendship or you slip up and everyone will find out that, hey, you're actually a drug addict. Huh. You've been pretending to be a non-drug addict for all these months. And then we end up finding out, behind the scenes, you've been doing drugs. So you have to really be careful of people you've never met before. Is that you don't know who they truly are. People always put up a persona of themselves. They always have a fake version of who they want you. People pretend to be something they think other people will like. They don't be themselves because it's easier to pretend to be something than it is to just be yourself. It's just easier. When you meet someone new, it's easier to pretend to be something you think they like. If your friend, if you think the person likes cars, right? It's easy to pretend you like cars as well. If the person is rich, you pretend it's easy to pretend you're rich when you're not. If the person is poor, it's easy to pretend you're poor when you're not, just to hang out with them. And as time goes on, you slowly start to see who they truly are. But at that time, it may already be too late. It may already be too late. You may already, have gotten into a long relationship with them, friendship with them, whatever it is, partnership or business partnerships. And then what are you going to do when you end up finding out everything about them is a lie? You can't run away because you're locked in. It's harder to get out when you're locked in. You're sharing finances. You're investing in the same. You've invested in the same company. Your money's tied into the company, or your money's tied into the relationship. And you don't know how to get out. You can't take your money out because there's no way for you to get your money out right now. So do you still pretend to be the friend, or do you just cut off the relationship or the friendship? Many people just continue pretending to be friends. If they feel like it's hard to get out, they just continue pretending. It's easier to pretend than to break someone's heart, It's easier to pretend. There's a story I read a while back about a guy who sent fake invoices. This guy sent fake invoices to Google and Facebook, right? This is how, this is the benefits of lying. The benefits of lying, the benefits of going to hell, it seems so great from afar, People do it. This is why there's so many scammers out there. From afar, scamming seems easier than just being an honest person. From afar, being an evil demon just seems easier than being an honest person. Because it's hard to see the downsides from afar. Because it's hard to see the downsides of, your choices. Many people just rather make the bad choice than the good choice, Like, for example, this person I'm telling you, he doesn't, probably didn't even cross his mind that this was a bad choice. Why? Because he sent invoices to Google and Facebook, right? And Google and Facebook started paying them. These are fake invoices. The guy was pretending to be someone he's not. He was pretending to be a contractor, right? That needed to be paid by Google and Facebook. So he just emailed them, and they sent him money. I think it was for 2 years, 2 or 3 years straight. They sent the guy over $1 million. I think over $100 million. This is how easy it is, to go to hell, because there are physical benefits. But the downside of it is, it's a glass house. The downside of scamming others is it's a glass house. Sooner or later, people will find out that you're scamming them. And when people find out you're scamming them, You will have to cough up every single thing you stolen from them. Your life could be ruined overnight. The guy was, the Google and Facebook ended up finding out, and obviously, I don't know how the case went, but they found a way to get the money out. The person is probably now serving, some time in jail, etc. You know, it's so easy to pretend to be something you're not because there are benefits. If you pretend to be a rich person, right? Hey, you can hang out with rich friends. You can even scam them out of their money. You can pretend, you're both rich, right? So let's start a business partnership together. And then the rich friend gives you money and then you run away with it. It's that easy. You know, it's easy to pretend to be a police officer, You just get a uniform and now you can start collecting fees from people. The benefits can be seen from afar. You start collecting fees from people you pull over. Randomly just start collecting fees from them. You can just make up a ticket or a crime and then you start taking money from them. But the downside of it is you can serve a long time in jail. The rest of your life could be ruined from it. It's the benefits of going to hell, is always monetary. It's always materialistic. But the downside of going to hell is emotional distraught, emotional damage. Your life could be ruined. You'll probably suffer from depression for the rest of your life. Nobody will trust you ever again. Nobody will like you ever again because no one likes scammers. No one likes manipulators. No one likes fake people. So you practically ruined your life, because the moment we know you're a fake person, you're a scammer, a criminal, X or Y, your life is practically over. So that's the downside. People will never trust you again. People will never trust you again. And if people don't trust you, guess what? You live in a world of people. You have to interact with people. If everyone do not like you, it's hard to live a long life when everyone do not like you. It's hard to live a happy life when everyone do not like you. You know. So the benefits of going to hell is always materialistic, but the downside of going to hell is that there's no happiness there. You may have a lot of money, but your life will be filled with misery. That's one of the tricks of life is that money and happiness are not the same thing. And many people think they are. This is why they go to hell so often, This is why they go towards hell so often. Because they keep thinking that money and happiness are exactly the same thing. And then they do what? Instead of working hard to gain their money, they try to take the easy path. They try to take the path of scamming others. They try to take the path of manipulating people for money. They try to take the corrupt path. Because that's the easiest path to take in life. That means the people you meet, right? The more desperate they are, the higher the chance they'll try to take the corrupt path with you. If you're someone who has money, even if you don't have that much money, if they're desperate enough for money, they'll try to rob you of it. They'll try to scheme into your life to steal your money from you. Because they think money and happiness are exactly the same thing. They're not. So they end up getting money, but now their life is ruined. And this is what you have to be careful of as well. Do not think money and happiness are the same. They're not. Your reputation matters in life. Your reputation matters, your health matters, your happiness matters, your emotions matters. What's the point of having all this money if you're depressed? What's the point of money when you're depressed? What's the point of money when no one likes you? You have all the money in the world, but the whole world hates you now. Would you think you'll be happy? You go to a store to spend money, everyone mocks you and insults you for it. You drive your Lamborghini, right? You drive your expensive car. You buy all the jewelry in the world, yet people still look down on you. You live in an expensive mansion, yet people mock you for it. You're insulted. You're bullied. You're looked down on. What's the point of money now when no one likes you? This is what you have to be careful of. Money and happiness are not the same thing. Money and reputation are not the same thing. Just because you're rich does not mean people automatically like you. If you do shady things for money and people find out, even if you buy $1 billion house, they will still mock you for it. You'll be insulted for it. Instead of being congratulated, hey, you did a good job, you'll be mocked instead. What a fool. We know what you did to get that money. You're not someone trustworthy. We don't like you. You know. People mock you in the most, derisive way. People insult you in the most painful way. No matter what you do, even if you end up saving the world, you'll still be insulted because of your reputation, because of the things you've done in the past. Even if you donate all your money away, you will still be insulted for all the things you've done in the past. Even your friends and family members will mock you openly, will insult you openly. You have money now, but now nobody likes you. This is what it's like, to go to hell. Happiness is not there in hell. If you make bad choices to get your money, you realize that you have money, but now you have nothing else but money. You have no happiness, no friends, no lovers. Everyone hates you. Everyone mocks you. Everyone insults you. Other rich people drive expensive cars. People hail them. Hey, this guy's rich. I want to grow up to be like him. You drive expensive cars, right? But because no one likes you anymore, people will be mocking you for it. I will never be like you. I will never grow up to be like you. My children will never grow up to be like you because you're worthless. Do you want to be called worthless even when you drive an expensive car? Do you want to be called useless? Trash? You have all the money in the world, but now you're being called trash. What did you gain? You gained nothing but depression, sorrow, and misery. But at least you have money. But no one likes you anymore. Nobody likes you, not even your parents or family members. There's a cost to going towards hell. There's a cost for sinning in this world. If you do bad things, if you sin for money, if you sin for anything, you're ruining your life for something monetary, for something materialistic. You have to weigh the cost and benefits of your choices. It's easy to sin. It's easy to go to hell. But there's a major downside to going towards hell. There are major consequences of making bad choices in life. So you have to really be careful. You have to be careful of the people around you, who you don't know, who you don't trust, because you have no idea, you don't know their personality. You don't know whether they're righteous people who would prefer making a good choice than a bad choice, or the majority of people who would prefer making a bad choice over a good choice any day. Because it's easier to sin than it is to go to heaven. It's easier to make a bad choice than it is to make a good choice in life. Because it's easier to make a bad choice than it is to make a good choice in life. Most people would rather choose to make a bad choice over the good one. That includes you. So that's it for today's podcast episode. I pray for everyone's good health, safety, and perseverance. Amen.